What's going on, guys? Big Mike 717 Outlaw back with here another video. We're enjoying Easter Sunday. I figured I'd come down to the shop here before we do Easter dinner and pretty much finish the busa. So did a good bit of garage cleanup, got all the bikes and everything situated, the shop relatively cleaned up. I've been kind of prepping some of my outdoor power equipment for getting ready for spring and getting things cleaned up outside because the grass is growing. It's getting warm out and the grass is starting to grow. But anyway, getting back to working on the busa. So in the last video, we only had a few things to finish up. I had to order a brake line to run from the clutch to the rear brake. I had to finish up the bracket for the ride back device. And then once that was done, the other thing I had to do was wire the PMR two-step button, which I did on the side just because it was a little intricate. Didn't really take a lot to do. You pretty much can just take the clutch switch, two wires, which instance here on the back of your clutch switch, there's usually two little plugs that go in here. Well, I put that PMR button right here, and now our two-step button is down here. So for me, now usually like the clutch switch, you pull the lever in and that allows the bike to start. So for me, hold the button in, hit the power button, the bike fires right up. But what makes that nice for the PMR switch is it's really just a plug and play. I mean, I tried to make that as clean as I could to use the original wiring the best I can and keep it pretty clean. Mickey has something slightly similar on his bike. It's a different style button, but same point. But going with that, Mickey helped me with the bracket for our ride back device. I didn't realize the reason I probably could have did a lot easier, that this collar unthreads. So we were able to put it right in between, and now our ride back device can mount right in here. I'm just gonna try to figure out the orientation, and then we got to run the wires, one to one of my negative terminals down here because we have our hot, our negative, and then I have to wire into the pass light, so that way that is what engages our ride back device. But we have that. The other thing that we did get to, where did I put it? We went ahead to Core Moto. I know Dustin Lee runs this, and that's pretty much the same company. I figured give them a shot, and they have lifetime warranties on their parts. So for me, that's a pretty good thing. And as well, I found out that Schnitz Racing, they do custom lines, which I have used for the R6. You can get different fittings that literally unthread from the end of the braided line. But Core Moto, custom order, 96-inch brake line. I also spec'd the black with white lettering on their logo. I did black anodized fittings, new banjo bolts, and everything ready to go. So all we have to do is just go ahead and get this off or get this unraveled and try and get it fitted on the busa. All right, guys, so far, well, unfortunately, I had spec'd out the wrong thread banjo bolt, but I had a good one that was here ready to go. Just used the brand new or fresh crush washers. I'm gonna go ahead and route it underneath our steering components. That way there's plenty of wiggle room. I'm gonna route it down around here, underneath the seat, right across the swing arm, and down to our rear caliper. All right, guys, got the Core Moto line mounted up. Go right underneath this brace, straight up underneath the undertail. I did a little bit of zip tying coming up through here. Routed in line with my two-step switch up underneath and right over here. So we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna start bleeding my brakes, and hopefully I can still get good pressure and everything back here to the brake. And then the clutch will now be our new handbrake. All right, guys, it's a bit later. I went in and had dinner here for Easter, but we have a break now. Didn't take as much as I thought to get this all bled out, ready to go. So we have that on, that's ready to go. Now on to the next. We're gonna go ahead and figure out our ride back device. This is pretty much the last thing we need to do. I kind of have the airlines roughed in here. I just have to make sure where I'm going. This line goes to the cover over there. And I think what I'm going to do is eliminate this fitting right here and just do a snake bite fitting like what's on here, and just go right off the direct air feed of the cross member tank to feed this. So it'll go from the tank to here to the ride back on the side of the clutch. Shouldn't be too bad. Hopefully we can get it done. All right guys, went for our trusty way. Good old riv nuts. I swear this was the best tool I bought off Amazon to help with this bike. So went ahead and put our riv nuts in. Now what we're gonna do, take our bracket, go ahead and snug these up pretty good. That way they don't vibrate loose. At least hope they don't. The thing that's nice about these two is you don't have to worry about catching the head out of here, because the head actually on these, now that they're snugged, is flush. But then again too, that tire should never get up that close. So, but let's go ahead and get our ride back put in. We got everything hooked up here. This is our line going to the front of the cover. Go ahead and I can extend these lines. We have to get a ground, which this I don't know if I have to run this to just a ground on the bike as a whole, or if I have to hook this to a negative terminal. This is gonna go to our hot side for the pass light. Only reason I kept this connector on here was so I knew that this was hot and this was the ground. So we have that run. I do have to get the airline run from here down to this little piece here, which I believe I can just unthread this and I shouldn't have any problems. I have a couple of shark bite connectors that can go right in here. Do that, and I think the bike will be good. I'm just hoping I can get this done, because once this is on and it's tested and it works, I can put the bodywork back on, put the tank back on, and the bike should be pretty much ready to go. I think that's everything else. I did have that two-step switch hooked up, and it does work. I've already tried turning the bike on with it. I'm hoping that I can get the bike fired up in this video. If not, we'll at least complete it, and then we'll have a full test day coming up this week with making sure that everything functions as it should. All right guys, got this hooked up. I ended up just temporarily, I'll clean this up later, I grounded this to the frame. I'm pretty sure that it'll work this way. If not, I will run it to a negative terminal that I have down here. This line, probably not my best routing, but we have it routed right to here. It comes up, put a grommet through this seat pan, or this undertail, and then we'll just run it here. This should still clear my seat and everything like that. Now we just have to run our hot side all the way up front and hopefully run it to our pass light. All right guys, so we have our wire for the ride back following up here. Pigtails off up here at the top. So now this batch here with these 6 prongs are our headlights. So what we're gonna try to do is tap in, I believe it's this yellow one, but easiest way to do this, so the high beam will still count for the pass light. So we're gonna try and see what happens here. Go ahead and hook this up as a ground, and okay, so we have power there, we have power there. All right, so high beam. Aha, so it was this one. So it is our lower plug here is our high beam, and I believe, yep, that's our yellow wire. So we're gonna go ahead, try and get this spliced into the yellow wire so that way when we go ahead and hit our pass button, or even if we have to, if we lock our high beam on, we'll have a ride back device. So we have a switch and we have a pressure button. We're working on this. We went ahead. I just used a splice connector. I was going to cut this, but this harness section is so tight, it's just not going to work any other way. This was my easiest way to do this. This should be pretty simple. I can just keep using this pigtail to plug into the front cowl with all of our lights and stuff on it. But this here should be good to go. We're going to try and see if I can get this tested. Well, guys, I guess we can test this without it being running because I found out that I do not have any 93. So I'm out of gas for the bike. But went ahead, built up air pressure, which I have to admit, I got this off of Johnson Motorsports. If you guys have them or can add them on Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that, he's got some pretty cool products. I like this pump. This thing's been holding up phenomenally for the past 2 years. But anyway, built up pressure. He's got this little auxiliary gauge that's attached here. You can see we have pressure in our ride back device. Go ahead and fire, or at least turn the bike on, and our solenoid is working. So our ride back device, you can see it runs with the high beam. That light down there is coming on, but it works. Doesn't use as much air, maybe like 5 or 6 PSI per use. So I'd say that's a success. Our ride back device is on. I can probably pull this off the stand and put our bodywork back on. I think then should be pretty well close to being done. Just needs fuel. All right, guys. Well, we got pretty much everything fitted up. I still have to work on doing that fender. I'm gonna take that pink one, chop it, at least chop that rear section off of it, repaint it, and we'll have a front fender. Pretty much everything's on. I was going to put the tail on, but before I finish buttoning that up and have the bike completely ready to go out, I want to preset the sag on the shock with the new arm, which I didn't do yet. But I have to admit, this is going to be a pretty sick setup for this year. I'm very psyched to get this out to the racetrack and see what she can do. I have to admit, I'm really liking these wheels with the black. I think that looks really cool. But anyway, have everything buttoned up. I did test fit the tail though. It does clear everything here on the tail. I'm actually gonna, let me pop and let all the pressure out. I have to admit, for that tiny little compressor, that puts a lot of air pressure in this cross member, about 140 pounds. But I think we got everything buttoned up. I did kind of snag this, or at least tie it up so it was up out of the way. This one is the one that runs to our ride back. This runs to the air shifter and the air gauge up front and everything. But I think she's looking pretty good, guys. Almost done. Hopefully the next video I'll get the sag set and we'll get this thing ready to roll. And hopefully we'll be testing this coming weekend. So, as I was saying, guys, we're going to wrap it up on this. We have the bike pretty much 90% done, 99% done, just needs the tail. And just going to go ahead and preset the suspension. So hopefully we start off with the suspension pretty close to where we're going to be running to start off the season. And if we have to do any tweaking, I'm going to go ahead and do it that way. And also, I'm putting this out here. Hopefully people are watching to the end of this. I am on the lookout for a used Penske air shock for a, I guess technically I can just use a Gen 2 busa because the Gen 2 shock still fits on this current setup. So I'm looking for a Gen 2 air shock for a busa from Penske. I talked with Penske out at Motorama this past February, and I'm able to get them refreshed to work for my setup. So if anybody has one, they don't want to mess with it anymore. I know that they take a lot of tuning to get dialed in, but I've heard that they're very, very good in drag racing, and there's more guys that use them than I thought. So if anybody has a used one, I'd be more than happy to hopefully try to buy it depending on your price. But I want to go ahead and get that shock, and hopefully that will help us get really dialed in on this wheelbase, and hopefully we can put in some work this racing season. I know that this is going to be a big change going for the slider and everything like that, and just making sure that everything works properly. So yeah, we're going to see what we can make happen, guys. And as always, I hope you like these videos. This has been a lot of work this off season to get everything set up to our liking, so that way everything's running 100%. And I just hope you guys like it. We're going to be hitting the track here very, very soon. I was hoping we would have been testing about 2 weeks ago, but with the holidays, with weather, and waiting on parts, wasn't going to happen. So as always, guys, I really do hope that you like these videos. Give it a thumbs up. Drop any comments if there's anything that I missed or anything you want to know. And hit that subscribe button and the little bell for notification. As always, guys, ride safe, ride smart, always wear a helmet. See you in the next one.